Hey everybody, so the pain of pushing a bare bones unfinished V1 to market is something that you will experience. And it's a scenario that can result in two different ways. One is you work on your app for years and years and years and you push a great, beautiful looking V1 to market and you end up having no revenue, no users, and your market just doesn't accept whatever it is you're solving. And the second version is you push an unfinished V1 to market, and then you either get your first positive results and then you work on it, or you just scratch the idea, no harm, no foul, you work on something else. And this is a problem I faced in my first app ever, Scholar, which I worked on for years upon years. I pushed it to market and I ended up getting zero revenue. Salesy, on the other hand, which is our new app, state-of-the-art AI sales training where you can chat or speak with AI prospects, train your tonality, objection handling, pattern interruption, and so on. And you can also go through various types of courses, again, pattern interruption, objection handling, gap building, so on. And in Salesy, we took a completely different approach. And I will give you specific thought processes and specific actionable steps that you can take in order to not fall for this fallacy of, if I just add one more feature, my app is going to be more valuable, more people are going to buy it, and so on. And again, thinking that a beautiful UI is going to get you users, get you money, not going to happen. So what you're looking at here is the first version of Salesy. The UI is not necessarily bad, but it doesn't look welcoming. It doesn't look like a homepage. It looks like a dashboard. Here you have missions, which I'm going to touch upon later. You have your prospects, and then under here you have your courses. But this is the section I want to really cover, because here you have various different icons that also feel kind of arbitrary. If I were to ask you, what do you think this icon does? Would your first guess be that it takes you to the Teams page? Probably not, right? However, besides all of the problems that the UI that you see here presented, we push it to market. It felt unfinished. It didn't feel satisfying, but we pushed it to market as fast as possible. The first objective that we had was pushing it to market, regardless of if it feels finished, if it's beautiful, we push it to market. 3 weeks later, we had our first paying users. We already were profitable, and we had our first recurring revenue 3 weeks after launch. This is in complete contrast to the years of development that our previous app took, which in turn had zero revenue. And only after that, only after we had that first positive feedback that yes, people are actually willing to pay for this, did we go back to the drawing board and actually make a beautiful UI. And a couple of things that stand out. First of all, personalization. Here, what we did is we made it so that every time the user opens the app, it shows them a different welcoming line. Here you can see, let's go Arthur. We have like 30 different lines that all include the name of the user. Chances are, if you're developing an app, you're probably asking for the name of the user. You cannot even imagine, you cannot fathom how valuable that is, because you can make the app feel like it's theirs. This feels just like a random piece of software. This feels like it's your app. It has a bit of encouragement. Let's go, Arthur. Let's make some money. And instantly, in the middle of the screen, you can never miss this. This has zero lack of understanding. You instantly know here, if I click here, I'm going to start a role play. That simple. And these buttons, on the other hand, are again in complete contrast to this. Like this can be anything. This can be anything. So we removed it completely. We stuck with 3 buttons, which are obviously the homepage. This, I think you could probably guess, are courses, and this obviously is the profile. Another thing, which is super important to keep in mind, when you push your first version to market, chances are there are going to be a couple of features that users don't really use. And if that's the case, don't feel like you cannot remove them. like in this case, we noticed that nobody, we have hundreds of users, nobody created a team. And the reason behind that is it's kind of like a secondary feature. It was unfinished. It was very bare bones. So nobody used it. So what we did is we thought, hey, nobody's using it. Why is it taking up space on the main screen? No reason to do that. We removed it entirely. These courses, they are a significant part of the app, which a lot of users use. So we just moved it to the second button in the middle of the screen. Third, profile, obviously. Another thing, what you can do from a UI perspective, UX, a lot of the secondary features you can just put in the drawer. If you swipe from the left hand side, the drawer pops up. You can see a bit of your, not stats, but like the minutes you have remaining and a couple of secondary features. So this is what you should keep in mind when you are launching your first version, because a lot of it's just noise. I know you want to make like a version you're super proud of with like a beautiful UI, a super thought out UX. But the thing that you should keep in mind is the fact that there are billion-dollar companies, like a great example, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a, I would say, pretty bad UI. From a UX perspective, I think it's even worse. I have been using LinkedIn for years and I barely know my way around it. But it's a billion-dollar company. If you go on the App Store, you will notice that there are many apps with a very mediocre UI, a mediocre UX that make millions of dollars, right? So focus on making the one thing that it does absolutely exceptional. The one thing, the main feature that users came for, which is like the chatting functionality. Now we have also voice mode, but originally it was chatting. That was exceptional. That was the screen that we really made exceptional from a UI, UX experience, so that the users that come for it are rewarded, right? Everything else we kind of put in like the secondary basket that we will work on later, but the core functionality, we made that absolutely exceptional. Next up, and this is also incredibly important. As I mentioned previously, we also have courses in the app. Similar to Duolingo, micro courses take like 1 to 2 minutes. When a user finished a course originally, there was one of two scenarios. Either you fail the module and just like an X pops up here, you click on continue and go about your day. I guess nothing happened really. Second scenario, check mark, and that's it. Does it feel rewarding? Obviously not. But again, this was something that we first wanted to test out. Like, is there any demand for the courses? And turned out that there was a lot of demand for courses. So only after that did we work on the core loop, which I will outline here. Quick case study. So there was a case study of Robinhood, like the trading app, where the confetti animation that popped up like after doing like a trade or something was actually banned because it worked so well that people felt like encouraged to make arguably bad trades because the experience felt so rewarding. So don't think that this is like childish or something. No, rewarding the user with like a confetti animation with haptic feedback, which I will touch upon a bit later, it's incredibly useful because after a user invests a bit of time, goes through the course, this check mark does nothing dopamine wise, nothing. But here we made a 5-screen walkthrough in which we walk through the user through various different types of rewards, encouragement, and so on. So first, beautiful confetti animation with haptic feedback, with a counter that counts up beautifully with haptic feedback. Next up, we have experience. And here I kind of screenshotted the animation, so obviously it looks dumb. But beautiful animations, experience, a bit of encouraging text that you see here. After that, bonuses. And this I would really strongly encourage you to add if you have any type of like ranking system or whatever, something that the user can actually claim. Because here we have various different types of rewards. If, for example, you finish the course without any mistakes, your rank multiplier, which is different for every rank, as you can see here, and a speed multiplier. And when a user clicks on claim, this counter counts up beautifully with haptic feedback so that the app actually feels alive. Next up, ranks. So if you have any type of like experience system, showing the user how far they have come is incredibly important, because here they claim their experience, but it doesn't really, they can't really visualize it, right? Like, sure, the counter counts up, you can't really visualize it. Here, we do exactly that. We have different types of ranks, and this progress bar kind of counts up beautifully, right? So the user can immediately see how far they have come after finishing this course. Next up, and this is arguably the most important part of this entire loop, which is obviously the next steps. Because what you always want to do after a user invests any sort of time in like a course, conversation, whatever, is asking them, like, what do you want to do next? Because it's so simple to click on this button and go do a new course. And if you have ads, watch another ad, and ads mean revenue. So also always add next steps. And lastly, and this is incredibly important, and I always see people kind of forgetting about the importance of haptic feedback. And if you're not sure what haptic feedback is, it's just like when, for example, you click on a button, your phone vibrates a bit. Or if we take this as an example, the counter counting up, each time it counts up, a bit of haptic feedback, so it feels physical. It feels like the counter is actually counting up, not just numbers on a screen. And this app, I'm not affiliated to in any way. It's completely free, and we are currently working on transitioning all haptic feedback within the app to custom haptic feedback we have created using this app, in which you can take your phone, you can draw a haptic feedback pattern, and it instantly gives you the code for it. It's that simple. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't miss out on simple features that you can add, such as the haptic feedback, which make your app feel way more alive and way more engaging. A great example of this, which you're possibly familiar with, is Duolingo. If you know Duolingo, you know that when you do a course, you have like a bit of a streak, and then like a lightning bolt pops up. And the lightning bolt feels like actual lightning in your hand because of the haptic feedback. It feels like it builds up and then it pops. And immediately it makes your app feel more alive, more engaging, and in turn, users will stick around longer. So, ladies and gentlemen, to kind of summarize what I've spoken about here, don't focus on making the most beautiful UI, because really it's just noise that you can focus on later. Focus on creating one feature that's absolutely exceptional, and forget about everything else. And after you have that first positive feedback, those first dollar signs, that first money rolling into your bank account, only then should you focus on making a beautiful UI, adding a couple of Easter eggs, which also is pretty fun. If you want to know, then here, if you click on this gradient, it kind of jiggles. Does it add any value? No, but hey, maybe some users will find that fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't make the same mistakes I did. Push your app to market and worry about the rest later. So, thank you for watching, and see y'all next time.